Hello everyone, this is Assistant Professor Dharam Unarkat here. Welcomes you all to the subject Effective Technical Communication. In the last video, we have completed the module number 5, that is etiquettes. Today, we are going to start the new module, that is module number 4, Ethics in Engineering. Let me explain what is ethics in the simple term. It is the rules and regulations, or you may say it is the code, or you may say it is the principles where you have to decide what is wrong and what is right in the corporate, in the professional, as well as in the real life. So, the term ethics may refer to the philosophical study of the concept of moral right and wrong and moral good and bad. To any philosophical theory of what is morally right and what is morally wrong, and to any system or the code of moral rules, principles, or values. The last may be associated with the particular religions, cultural, professions, or virtually any other group that is at least partly categorized by its moral outlook. Now, why does ethics matters? First, because it is a part of how many groups define themselves and thus the part of identity of their individual members. Second, ethics matters because other regarding values in most ethical system both reflect and foster close human relationship and mutual respect and trust. And the last why ethics matters is it could be rational for a self-interested person to be moral because his or her self-interest is arguably best served in the long run by reciprocating the moral behaviors of others. So this is why the ethics matters. Now this is all about just ethics. We have to study ethics in engineering, that we have to apply this ethics, these rules and regulations, these principles in our engineering practices. So now let's understand what is ethics in engineering. Engineering ethics is the field of system of moral principles that apply to the practice of engineering. The field examines and sets obligations by engineers to societies, to their clients, to their professions. We will see this obligations detailed in the next slide. Engineers, in the fulfillment of their professional duties, shall hold the paramount of the safety, health, and welfare of the public. Now, let's understand the obligations to society. We have to do obligations to individual society according to our work. Let's understand one by one. First, let's discuss the institutions of civil engineers, where civil engineers have to follow some obligations to the society. Members of the ICE should also be aware of their overriding responsibilities to the public good. A member's obligations to the client can never override this, and the members of ICE should not enter overtaking with compromise these responsibilities. The public good encompasses care and respect for the environment and for the humanity, culture, historical and architectural heritage, as well as the primary responsibility members have to protect the health and well-beings of the present and the future generation. So here the role of the civil engineers is not only to do his work, but also he have to give the respect to the environment, also to the humanity, culture. He have to keep in mind all this, and along with that he have to do his work. So there are some obligations which civil engineers have to follow. Next, Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers. We, the member of IEEE, do hereby commit ourselves to the highest ethical and professional conduct and agree to accept responsibility in making decisions consistent with the safety, health, and welfare of the public, and to disclose promptly factors that might endanger the public or the environment. So, a member of the electrical engineer have to give their work along with the safety of the human and the environment. Next is the American Society of Mechanical Engineers. Engineers shall hold the paramount of the safety, health, and welfare of the public in the performance of their professional duties. Next, Institute of Industrial Engineers. Engineers uphold and advance the integrity, honor, and dignity of the engineers' professions by being honest and impartial and serving with the public, their employers, and the clients. Next, American Institute of Chemical Engineers. To achieve these goals, members shall hold the paramount the safety, health, and welfare of the public and protect the environment in performance of their professional duties. Next is American Nuclear Society, ANS, that means American Nuclear Society. Members of this ANS uphold and advance the integrity and honor of their professions by using their knowledge and skill for the enhancement of human welfare and the environment, being honest and impartial, serving the fidelity the public, their employers, and their clients, and striving to continuously improve the competence and prestige of their various professions. And last, Society of Fire Protection Engineers. In the practice of their professions, fire protection engineers must maintain and constantly improve their competence and perform under a standard of professional behavior with which requires adherence to the highest principles of ethical conduct with balanced regard for the interest of the public, client, employers, colleagues, and the professions. So these are the areas where the engineers not have to only do the work but also have to keep the mind, the human beings, the welfare of the environment, the welfare of the public, etc. Now, the general principles of the codes of ethics are largely similar across the various engineering societies and catering authorities of the world, which further extends the code and the publish specific guidance. Now let's understood the principles of the codes of ethics. Engineers shall hold the paramount of the safety, health, and the welfare of the public and shall strive to comply with the principle of sustainable development in the performance of their professional duties. Engineers shall perform the service only in the area of competence. Engineers shall issue public statement only in an objective and truthful manner. Engineers shall act in professional matter for each employer or client as a faithful agent or trustee. Also, engineers shall act to avoid the conflicts of interest. Engineers shall act in such a manner as to uphold and enhance the honor, integrity, and dignity of the engineers as the professions. Also, engineers shall act for zero tolerance bribery, fraud, and corruption. Engineers shall continue their professional development throughout their career and shall provide the opportunity for the professional development of those engineers under their supervision. And last, engineers shall, in all the matter related to their profession, treat all persons fairly and encourage equitable participation without regard to gender or gender identity, race, national origin, religion, age, sexual orientation, disability, political affiliation, or family, economic status, etc. So these are some general principles of the codes of ethics where every person in the engineering world have to follow. And also there are some responsibilities that engineers have to take, keeping in all this mind principles, that the engineers recognize that the greatest merit is the work and exercise their profession committed to serving society, attending to the welfare and the progress of the majority. By transforming nature for the benefit of mankind, engineers must increase the awareness of the world as the abode of humanity, their interest in the universe as the guarantee of overcoming their spirit, and knowledge of reality to make the world fairer and happier. The engineers should reject any paper that is intended to harm the general interest thus avoiding a situation that might be hazardous and threatening to the environment, life, health, or other right of the human beings. As we have discussed in the principle, even in the obligations, that engineers have to work keeping in mind the welfare of the public and environment as well as the health of the human beings. It is an inescapable duty of the engineer to uphold the prestige of the professions, to ensure its proper discharge, and to maintain a professional rooted in ability, honesty, fortitude, temperature, modesty, honesty, and justice, with the consciousness of individual well being subordinate to the social good. The engineers and the employers must ensure the continuous improvement of their knowledge, particularly to their profession, share their experience, provide opportunities for education and training to the workers, also provide recognition, moral and material support to the school where they studied, thus returning the benefit and opportunities they and their employers have received. It is the responsibility of the engineers to carry out every work efficiently and to support the law. Thus, as we have discussed, ethics is the simple word which you can say it is the rules and regulations, it is the principles that every engineers have to follow, not only in the professional world, not only in the corporate world, but also to the real life, to the society. So, this is the first video where we have started the new module, that is module number 4, ethics in engineering, where we have seen the definition of the ethics, only ethics, and ethics in engineering. More topics of module 4 will be further discussed in the next videos. Thank you.